Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corn Productions Deep Dive TV Podcast with my co-host Stacie here, talking about Under the Dome, Season 1, Episode 9, titled The Fourth Hand. The episode's description reads as follows. Julia takes Barbie to see the mini-dome and the egg, but they have both disappeared. A former acquaintance of Big Jim and Barbie makes a reappearance, and she starts to experience the same seizures as Joe and Nori. The episode was written by Daniel Truly. This is his first of 3 stints on the series, based on a book by Stephen King. The episode was directed by Roxanne Dawson, who played B'Elanna Torres on Star Trek Voyager. You started watching Star Trek Voyager, so yes. She was the Klingon in that series.
I know who she is.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't have known the actress's name, but I know who the character is.
Yes. 38 acting credits for her, 59 directorial stints. She basically hasn't done any acting at all. She's basically a pure director at this point. And she's done plenty of genre series at this point. Before we go any further, I'll tell you a couple things. One, this is not a Sport Freak podcast. So if you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go check it out. And then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening on one of the platforms of this podcast is now available on, please follow and feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Corn Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to our channel. All right, so Stacie, your thoughts on this week's episode?
Okay, so lots going on in this episode. And I know I gave it kind of a rough first impression last week because we were talking about like where things are going. And you know, when I was watching it this week, taking notes, I was trying to look at it with fresh eyes. You know,
it's kind of hard, yeah.
Trying to remember what it's like to see this story and not know what's coming.
It is definitely hard to, watch these episodes without like putting on like all the crap of where the story is actually going.
Exactly.
And just judge it as this episode,
right,
and not bring any of that other stuff into it.
And here's the thing. I feel like first time through, if I don't know what the frickin' egg is and where that's going and how much I hate that, I feel like I'd have been into this. I feel like I'd have been like, ooh, what's going on with the egg? What's going on with the handprints? This is cool. I want to know what happens next.
Right.
Except I know what happens next, and I don't want to know what happens next.
Right, yeah.
I want a new story.
Right.
But yeah, if I really try and look at this episode in isolation, it's not a bad episode. I like that the character stories are kind of converging a little bit at this point, you know? And, I don't love all the gun sub-story, whatever, because that's, not my thing, the violence and the action and whatever. I don't care about Big Jim and his guns. We get the addition of Maxine in this episode, and every single time I watch this series, I'm surprised how quickly she comes.
Yes.
And how quickly she leaves.
Right. Maxine, played by Natalie Z. Of Justified fame. She was also in Justified Primeval.
She's in so many things.
Yes.
And
Unicorn.
I love her. I love Natalie Z.
I don't like her character in
Hate
the show.
Maxine.
Yeah.
Hate her.
Yeah.
And not like in a way that I think we're supposed to hate her.
Right.
I just hate her as a character.
Yeah, I don't like the character. It's not even like a Jim situation where you kind of like love to hate him.
Right.
It's just
it's
just hate
really
to hate him.
Weird where they bring her in. And then it's weird that they get rid of her as quickly as they do. So, Natalie's in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 3 in a row, and then her story's done. And every single time, I'm like, I feel like we didn't meet her till a little bit later.
Right.
And I feel like she was there longer.
Right. No.
And yeah, she's introduced now. She's here for 3 episodes, and then they wrap her up, and it's like, what was the frickin' point of that?
It's basically just a waste of time. Like, there's so much more that you could have been doing with this time and space.
Right. And if they wanted to include her as a character, great. I can see her fitting. She should have been here. It doesn't have to be every episode, but she could have been around.
Right.
And we could have dragged her story out.
Yeah.
Not try and like, oh, all of a sudden, guess what? I'm here and I'm the big boss, and oh, now I'm done.
Right.
It's so like, what are we even doing?
Right.
And, I have in my notes the first time, like, she actually has a conversation. Not the first time we see her, because that's a really quick scene, but the next scene where she's in, it feels like a soap opera. Mm-hmm. It's a soapy scene. The music, the whole camera angles, it's like, what are we watching right now?
Right.
This doesn't feel like it fits in what this show wants to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the problem, is the show doesn't know what the frick it wants to be.
That is a big part of the problem. And, a lot of first season shows have that problem. and then they figure it out in the second season. Only Under the Dome never really does that. Under the Dome just kind of just goes along and just does random nonsense. Like, it seems like in the first season up to a point, like, it's actually going to do something.
Yeah.
And then it never does. But yeah, I mean, like, by now you're pretty familiar with my objections to the whole Junior Angie thing.
Yeah.
It starts in full force here.
Right.
It gets worse in the next couple episodes.
It does. But also, with that in mind, I see little things that make me go, yeah, that I can feel where she's feeling. I get where she's maybe starting to change her mind.
Right.
There are little breadcrumbs of how her opinion's changing.
Yes.
So it's not like they completely just decided one day to be like, well, let's change their relationship.
Right.
It is kind of strung in there. It is still weird.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I do see where they were trying to morph her relationship with Junior from where we started to where we end up.
My main objection to that, once again, comes down to messaging. In the fact that I don't like the insinuation that Junior had a credible reason to lock her up in the manner that he did.
Oh, he didn't. He's crazy.
Yes. But one watching the series as a young teen might get the impression that that's actually how it's supposed to be taken.
Right.
And given the impression that this is okay.
Right.
That this is love. None of this is okay. This is not what love looks like.
Sure. But also, it's Stephen King.
Yes.
And Stephen King's really good at having really crappy characters. And, Junior in the show is a whole saint compared to Junior in the novel.
Fair enough. I'm just saying that, like, when you're watching the show, you do have a responsibility not to paint something abusive and potentially
if he's
going to
be a villain, we have to remind you he's a villain.
And we don't do that. We do the exact opposite. We turn him into a good guy.
Yeah.
Once we get into season 2, he's just a pure good guy. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that as we go along. But anything else?
So as far as our cast today, we get an appearance from Dodie this week.
Mm-hmm.
Jolene Purdy reprising that role. We haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. Andrea makes an appearance this week. Our final appearance by Ray Stoney as Dre Johnson. We last saw him in episode 6. And a couple one-off characters, but our only new addition to the cast, again, is Natalie Z as Maxine Seagrave. The mysterious stranger, as the description describes her.
Yep. All right, so, diving in?
Dive in.
Okay. Barbie is being led to the mini-egg by Julia, and he sounds skeptical about the whole situation. They arrive at the spot and find nothing. Barbie is called away because Linda has called him about shots being fired somewhere. Joe and Nori try to catch a chicken for dinner. Nori asks what the monarch is going to be crown thing is all about. Joe suggests that someone in there is going to be king. I'm surprised that nobody said, oh, well, what about being a queen?
Yeah, that seems like it should have been what Nori said.
Yes. They suggest going back to get his apparition to explain himself. Jim, meanwhile, is going to Rose's, the cafe, the Sweetbriar Cafe, I think it is, telling Angie good morning. Jim has made an agreement with the farmers now that Allie is out of the way, and Angie wants to run the place and actually own it.
Yeah, so Jim makes a joke like, oh, you went from being waitress to manager in a week, and she's like, no, waitress to owner.
Right.
She wants the deed free and clear. Jim says he has to think about it. Now, we've already been told pretty clearly that Jim doesn't think the dome's going anywhere.
Right.
So if you think this is for good, what difference does it matter who technically owns the diner? It's not like money is a thing anymore.
Right, exactly.
She just wants to feed people.
Right. So, Barbie arrives at the scene that Linda has called him to. A neighbor has been shot by Ted Utley, who is trying to scare him off. Someone who's broken into his house and isn't leaving.
Yeah, so the man who was shot is Mr. Feldman.
Yep.
He's an uncredited listing played by Don A. King. He was in 3 episodes of One Tree Hill and an episode of Tell Me Your Secrets.
Ted Utley, meanwhile, is played by Raheem Bababo. I did this worse than I thought I was going to do. You take a crack at it.
Raheem Babalola.
Okay.
Raheem Babalola.
Okay. 19 credits for him, including American Reunion, which is the last American Pie movie as of now. An episode of Atlanta and Burn Notice.
Yep.
I thought you were going to put Revolution in there because he was also in that, but I said instead. So Linda and Barbie go to get the guy out of Utley's house. Turns out to be Larry, who's freaking out, needing more drugs called Rapture, and that he got from Coggins. So he's basically...
Right. So they don't know yet that
Yes.
Coggins is dealing drugs. This is where Linda and Barbie learn about it.
Mm.
And it makes sense because Larry seems to be sprouting the particular brand of crazy that Coggins was always sprouting.
Right.
So it makes sense that they're high on the same kind of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he is going through withdrawal because he hasn't been getting any because Coggins has been dead for a few days and
Yes.
he needs more Rapture. And the reason he broke into Utley's house is because the Dome is talking to him and he's trying to quiet the voices. But they're like, oh, it's not really the Dome, it's the drugs.
Right.
And Larry is played by Evan Gamble. Ted and Larry both, this is the only time we're going to see them. Evan Gamble was in 5 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, 5 episodes of The Vampire Diaries, and 1 episode of NCIS New Orleans.
With Scott Bakula. So Junior decides to visit Angie at the cafe. She refuses service. Junior says the only reason he chained her up is because she was sick. And she says she's not sick. And then she collapses and starts talking about... Okay, so taken completely out of context, this little moment is pretty funny. I'm not sick. And then she collapses.
And then she has a seizure.
Yeah.
I want to know... She says this line. She says, the Dome has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the second she says that is when she has the seizure. It's like the Dome is like, you want to bet?
Right, yeah.
So she has a pink star seizure, just like we've already seen with Joe and Nori.
Yep.
Junior's there to catch her so she doesn't fall and crack her head open. And good thing, I guess, that she didn't, wasn't alone when this happened.
Right, yes. And yeah, she starts talking about the pink stars. Jim returns to his house to find it broken into. And he, does his usual gun-pointing thing. And as he gets into the house, he realizes that Maxine is waiting for him, played by Natalie Z. 47 credits for her, including Justified, Justified Primeval, The Unicorn, and The Shield.
She was in all 42 episodes of The Detour. She plays the wife in that series. That's a good comedy. 23 episodes of The Following, also playing a wife in that. She's... who's our Kevin Bacon? She's
Yes,
Kevin
Kevin
Bacon's
Bacon.
ex-wife in that series.
Oh, okay.
Or wait, she's the bad guy's ex-wife, not his. Never mind.
Okay,
It's been a long time since I watched
not Kevin
that
Bacon's
show.
wife. Okay.
She's somebody's wife.
Okay.
She also was in 25 episodes of La Brea, a
yes.
fun time travel show.
Yes.
Again, love Natalie Z.
Yes. Do not like this character.
Hate Maxine.
Right.
And I was trying to think, I was like, is this the first thing I saw her in? And I had to look at the dates. The season of The Following she was in actually aired a few months prior to this appearance.
Okay. And you were watching The
I
Following?
was watching The Following when it was on, so I definitely saw her there first. And I definitely don't think I realized when I met Maxine that this was the same actress.
It's kind of funny going back and watching old media and then going, oh, I didn't realize this person was in
Right.
it, because you didn't know that person back then.
Right.
But now you do.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, he was also in this? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I recognize, like, oh, that was the chick from The Following. And it was the same year. They were both 2013, but like that was at the beginning of the year. This was August when this aired. But yeah, I didn't know her, like, by name, and now I've seen so many other things that she's been in, and she's great. I love her.
All right, so credits. When we come back, Angie wakes up in the back of Junior's police car. She starts freaking out.
Understandably, she thinks she's being kidnapped again.
Yeah. He explains what's happening and then points out that he is not, in fact, kidnapping her and wants points for this. He's like, see, I'm not chaining you up in a basement. I'm bringing you home.
He's like, I drove you home, and you had a seizure, and I saved you. And...
I'm sorry, Junior, but you do not get points for not kidnapping.
This is where you see a look on her face that she's kind of like, oh, cool. Maybe I'm freaking out for nothing.
Maybe.
Like, she had this look like, oh, maybe I can trust you a little bit.
Right.
And I feel like this scene is mirroring a scene that happened in the book. Obviously, it would have been different characters.
Yes, it would not have been Angie because Angie
would
was
it not
very
have
dead.
been Angie or Junior? And maybe a Junior. And I don't remember the character. Do you remember there was a character, a young mother?
Vaguely.
Oh, Phil Bushy's wife.
Oh, okay.
She was a young mother, and she was assaulted by many people.
Oh,
and then
okay.
and then dragged herself down the highway to get to the hospital. Do you recall this? It was
little bit.
It was like the most graphic part of the book.
I think I made a blotted
It was all the teen police. It was
okay.
Georgia was there watching, and it was what's his name that's not here anymore? Carter. And then the other ones that were they were bigger characters in the book, and they were really bad guys. This is why they were really bad guys.
Gotcha.
And they assaulted this woman, and she's dragging herself down the road. And I feel like this kind of thing happened with her.
Okay.
Where she thought she was being kidnapped or taken again, but really it was somebody helping her and bringing her to the hospital or something.
Well, good news for her, I guess.
I just feel like this scene is mirroring something that happened in the book.
All right.
That's all.
So meanwhile, Julia tells Joe and Nori that the mini dome is missing. They need to find it. Caroline is still in her room grieving. We haven't seen her for a couple episodes.
Yeah, that's hence why she is absent again this week. No her. We also don't see Phil this week because he's recovering from a gunshot wound.
Right. Angie comes in and reveals that she had a seizure. Gives Joe and Nori crap for not telling her about their seizures. I mean, why would they?
Yeah, so everybody knows now about the Pink Star seizures. We're getting on the same page.
And so Nori notices that Angie has a butterfly tattoo and thinks Angie might be the monarch, but Joe is very quick to shoot that down, basically saying that the butterfly on her tattoo is not a monarch butterfly, but something else.
Right. And of course, my sister's not the monarch. That's crazy.
Yeah. Nori suggests using Dodie's Yagi to track down the mini dome, but Julia suggests she go and talk to herself because she's very suspicious of the kids.
Right.
Jim and Maxine talked. She was stuck on the wrong side when the dome came down.
Yeah, this is the scene that feels so soapy. It's so weird to me, this scene.
And she basically got stuck. And yeah, I mean, so they're going to make a lot of character introductions in season 2. And a few of them are going to be like, where was this person?
Right.
This makes some sense.
Right. This is the least problem of those. If we
Right.
didn't have season 2, I'd be more problematic with her just showing up in episode 9.
Right.
This is episode 9, right? Yeah. But they tell us it's been 8 days.
Right.
So we're reconfirming not a lot of time is passing. It's been 8 days total since Dome Day. So, I mean, I guess, it's been a week. You can lay low for a week. Like, I buy it.
Yeah.
But also she seems to know a heck of a lot about what's going on with everybody. And she's like, I've been watching all of you. How are you hiding out in a house and watching everybody?
She's like sneaking around, peering through.
So we learned during this that she is part of the propane drug ring. She's the big boss. She's the one that's in West. So she lives in Westlake. She was coming to see Jim that day. Basically,
she was also the person that Barbie was talking to on the phone.
Well, we don't learn that till later.
Yeah.
We will learn that in this episode. And she was coming because she heard that Duke might be a problem. So she was coming to help deal with that.
She also was a little worried about Coggins as well.
Right.
I don't know if that happened after or before, though. Because I'm not sure that Coggins was actually going nuts like he was until the dome. But,
right.
Yeah.
She says she's been staying in an empty house, but now she's kind of just done watching, and she wants to take advantage of their predicament, and she wants Jim to help her, run a new illegal empire in the dome.
So Barbie and Linda go to the funeral home and discover Coggins' secret lab, along with a recipe that includes propane.
And this is all hidden inside a casket.
Yes. It's very gruesome that way. Julia goes to see Dodie to borrow the Yagi, but it's not working anymore, or so Dodie says, and basically gives her the brush off, and yeah, that's the end of that.
Yeah, so Julia's lying to Dodie, saying, no, this doesn't have anything to do with the kids. I just want to look around for, there has to be an energy source.
And I'm pretty positive that Dodie is also lying to Julia at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't happen yet, but she's going to continue to lie the rest of her scenes.
Yes. So Jim talks to Barbie and Linda about a volunteer program where the citizens give up their guns to avoid situations like the one that happened this morning. Linda says that's against the Constitution, but Jim almost argues that they are not part of America anymore.
He's basically like, America's rules don't apply anymore.
Right.
We got to protect our people.
Linda gives in as long as it's temporary and voluntary. Once the dome comes down, she wants everybody to get their guns back. Barbie offers to help, basically saying, hey, you made the sale, and it's mainly to see what Jim is really up to. He doesn't,
right.
Yeah.
Jim's kind of reluctant to let him help
Yeah.
because obviously this isn't on the level. And then he tells Barbie once Jim's out of the room, like, no, I'm not agreeing with it. I just want to keep him close so I can see what the heck he's up to.
Right. Jim makes the announcement at the radio station as we see Maxine driving, looking very, very smug.
Yeah, she puts her gun in her glove box because she's like, no. This is where we get our first shot of Andrea in the episode listening to
Yes.
this.
Joe shows Nori old pictures on his tablet, and she wants to go back to a shirtless pic of him as a kid. Nori, should I be worried about you?
She's very...
Weird?
something.
Yeah. I mean, like, it would be one thing if it were Joe, like, now or, a couple years ago.
I don't know. How old are they? Like 14?
Yeah. But this is a baby picture.
He was like 6 or 7, I think.
Not in that picture, no. He was like a toddler.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway.
She is kind of a strange one.
Yeah. Julia comes in without the Yagi, and they decide to use the dog's nose. That would be not Hunter. What was the dog's name again?
Truman.
Truman, that's right. Instead. So Linda wants to take
Hunter is a season 3 character.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hunter is an actual character, not a dog. So Linda wants to take Junior to the propane warehouse, but Angie stops by. So he begs off, which Linda basically gives him a little crap for. Hey, you can't just not do your job anytime you feel like it. But he says that Angie might need his help, so she basically agrees to do it. Junior tells Angie that he locked her up because she was sick, and that during the most recent seizure, she started talking about pink stars. He wants to show her something, and she reluctantly follows. At the Sweetbriar Rose Cafe, are we still calling it that?
It's the Sweetbriar, yeah.
Okay. People are turning in their guns, but not Ted Utley, and this bothers Jim.
Yeah, and this is where we get this appearance from Dre Johnson. Again, we last saw him in episode 6. And he's the one who tells Jim that Ted Utley said, you're going to have to kill him before he gives up his guns.
So he decides to go and talk to Ted, and Barbie comes along to provide him with some backup.
Yeah, so Jim tells Barbie Utley's story. His wife and kid died on Dome Day in a car crash, and Jim's been a little worried about him ever since. And I don't think he means worried about his health. I think he means worried that he's going to go postal.
Joe, Nori, and Julia look for the egg. Julia makes a curious claim that things don't just disappear out of thin air. Like with the dome, anything is possible.
Right. It just appeared. Why can't it just disappear?
And then Truman seems to be tracking something which has nothing to do with the dome whatsoever.
He is birds.
Yes. Junior and Linda go to the warehouse where she ends up talking to Andrea and realizes that Duke knew something about the situation and that basically Andrea told Duke about her suspicions. The same conversation that she had with Julia in the pilot.
Right. And that's what Andrea ends up telling Linda is, go talk to Julia. She'll tell you, like I did. Because Julia's kind of giving her crap, Linda's giving her crap, like, why didn't you tell me this already? Right. And she's like, I told Duke.
Right.
Talk to Julia. She knows everything.
Jim goes with Barbie to Utley's house and basically has Barbie act as a sniper, but tells him not to fire unless things go sideways. And as soon as he says that, they start getting shot at. Junior takes Angie to see his mom's painting.
Yeah, so we're at Big Jim's house. They're at like a shed on the side of the house, and Angie says it's his mom's art studio. And this is where we get our first appearance of Jack Bender's art.
Yes.
And I know we talked about this at the beginning of this series. We obviously talk a lot about Jack Bender's art in our From podcast.
Yes.
And when you see these, once you know Jack Bender's art style, you recognize it in a lot of television he's involved in. But instantly,
I'm sure we'll see it in the Institute when we talk about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we will. As soon as you start seeing these paintings, and there's a whole studio full of paintings, but we're going to focus on one, the one that Junior's coming to show Angie. But there's tons of paintings in the background if you look. They're all done by Jack Bender, the occasional director on this series. He's the lead director on From. And you look at them and you go, those are From paintings.
Yes.
That's what they are. They look exactly like, Victor's paintings and Ellis's paintings. It's because Jack Bender is the one who creates all the art for these shows. And I think it's just so cool to look at these. Oh, and as well as Miranda's paintings.
Right. Speaking
of Miranda, I have a little tidbit I want to mention. This has absolutely nothing to do with Under the Dome. but it's kind of sort of from related, and I wanted to just mention it. I'm rewatching The Affair.
Okay.
Okay, The Affair. Catalina Sandino Moreno, who plays Tabitha in From, has a role in The Affair. And I'm rewatching the show, and I came to realize her character in The Affair, that character's mother's name is Miranda.
Oh, okay.
And I hadn't even put two and two together, even though we'd met the Miranda character previously.
Which in From, basically, that's the character that Catalina plays is a reincarnation
of Miranda.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of season 2, Catalina's been in the entire season 2. The mother character, Miranda, was introduced in season 1.
The Affair also happens to have Dominic West in it, who was
he's
the lead character in Wire, too.
Yes, he's the lead in The Affair.
Yep.
Anyways, what I was going to say is when I heard Catalina in The Affair say her mother's name, she was introducing her, and she was like, "This is my mother, Miranda." And when I heard the word Miranda come out of her mouth, that's when I realized, like, oh, her name's Miranda. Just hearing Catalina say the name Miranda, like, just put it all together for me.
Nice.
So honestly, I have a hard time even seeing Tabitha in this character because it's a decade ago. She's much younger.
Yeah.
Very different characters. But as soon as I heard the word Miranda come out of her mouth, I was just like, oh yeah, that's Tabitha. And it was just such a funny thing. I was like, that just feels so funny that that's the name of, a character connected to her here.
Gotcha.
And of course, Miranda, to bring it back to this, is also somebody who was painting a lot of Jack Bender art.
Yes.
Similar to Junior's mother, it was Victor's mother, Miranda, who was an artist.
Yeah, I never made that connection either. The thematic similarity there.
Well, I know I definitely talked about that when we first saw Miranda's art.
Yes.
And I called it, I said it's pink star art.
In a conversation, you were like, this is feeling a little too pink stars for my taste. And initially I did not get the reference, but it because you were just like, wait, what? But
so there's an episode of From in the beginning of season 3 where we go into, and it's Catalina who goes into Miranda to the basement of Victor's home, childhood home, and sees all this artwork. It's his mother's art studio. And it's exactly like this scene. It's like, Victor's not there, but it's like, here's my mother's art studio and all of her work, and it's all these paintings done by Jack Bender.
So, also in this scene, Junior says to Angie, "Hey, relax. I promise to never hold you again." And, by the way, he promised his father as well that he would never hold her against your will. And my note here is, do you want a cookie? But anyway.
He shows her this painting that his mom painted 9 years ago. Or she died 9 years ago, so this is before that. But I think recently before that, like, it's one of her last paintings is what the impression I got. And she painted it after having a dream.
Ah, yes. So
she had a dream. She feverishly made this painting. Or did this not happen yet?
I don't know. There's more. There's more. These scenes continue. So.
They cut in and out a lot.
Yeah.
But the painting is of Junior standing on a hill looking up at pink stars. Yeah. That's the painting. And that's why he wants to show it to her. Because he's like, you've been talking about pink stars. My mom painted pink stars.
Right.
There's some connection.
That conversation does happen a little bit later.
Yeah, but we see the painting here, though, for the first time, the pink star painting. And this is where we'll really start talking about the mom, who, Pauline, we're going to talk a lot about her as we go on.
Yeah.
And Angie says, oh, yeah, I remember taking a pottery class with her in junior high.
Oh, really?
Would Angie have been in junior high 9 years ago? More than 9 years ago if she died 9 years ago?
Angie or Miranda? or Junior's mother?
Pauline, Junior's mother, died 9 years ago.
I don't think that tracks.
And Angie says, I remember taking a pottery class of hers in junior high.
Oh, okay. So Angie is saying that she's taking a class of hers 9 years ago.
More than 9 years ago, because she's been dead 9 years.
Right.
So how old is Angie, and when would she have been in junior high?
Well,
high school's 4 years.
Yeah.
Junior's in college, but we don't know which year.
Right, and I got the impression that she was either already in college or about to be.
Yeah, she's somewhere between 18 and 20, right?
Right, yeah. So she would have been 9 years before, would have been like 11 which would have been around middle school age, because my daughter's in middle school now. She's about to be in high school. She's 12. She's like a year and a half from being in high school, but I guess that sort of tracks, sort of.
Okay, it felt weird to me though.
So when did Junior's mom die? I say in quotation
9
marks.
years ago.
All right, so that would be like.
So previous to 9 years ago, she was a teacher, and Angie took her class in middle school. Or junior high. There is a difference between middle school and junior high. Junior high is typically grades 7 and 8, or 7 through 9, depending on the
No, I don't think that quite lines up. Because 9 years would bring her to about 10. Maybe 10 or 11. And 7th and 8th grade would have been 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there. So, yeah, I don't know that completely tracks, but yeah.
Okay.
But
that was my observation. Again, that number just struck me as like, wait a minute, what? Was she over 9 years ago she was in junior high? She's not that old.
Right, yeah. So, all right. So Jim goes to Ted's house to talk to him while Barbie watches from afar with a gun in his hand.
Yeah, from like the side of the house through a window.
He's basically got the little red dot going. He's lost his family. He's talking about that. He eventually ends up taking out a grenade as Jim is trying to talk to him, ready to blow himself up, and Jim also there. And Jim wrestles it away and puts the pin back in. And then that's the end of that situation. Jim, when Barbie comes in, decides to take Ted to the clinic and thanks Barbie for not accidentally icing him or even doing it on purpose. Which, come to think of it, if Barbie had done that, that would have solved a lot of his problems.
Sure, it would have. But Barbie's not that guy.
Nope. Linda breaks into the warehouse and watches surveillance footage that sees Duke meet with Maxine. So Duke is now implicated in this Coggins the Coggins drug thing.
Right. She
doesn't yet know about
Jim. He's taking money from Maxine. And I don't think Linda knows who Maxine is either.
No. Nope.
But she's just like, what are you up to, Duke?
Right.
And I want to point out, we don't see his face. We just see a the profile of him in his hat getting out of the car.
Yeah, so basically anybody could have done that. I don't think Jeff Bowie is credited in this episode.
Jeff Fahey's not credited in this episode, nor does he have an uncredited listing. So I was never convinced that was actually him.
Well, I mean, you don't need to pay the actor
but he does have a credit in the next episode.
Oh, okay.
So when I knew he had another credit, I thought it was this, but it wasn't this. So I need to watch next week to see what it is. Is it this same scene again, but more detailed? Or is it something different?
I don't remember.
But we do see him next week, and it is his final appearance on the series.
Okay. So, I mean, just seeing him on a monitor from a distance, you don't really need to pay Jeff to come in to do that. You could have any Joe Schmo and pay him less money to do this. In fact, this is an uncredited role, technically, so what are you paying this person exactly? Definitely less than a person who has lines, correct?
Oh yeah, I think they make like $30 or something.
So you saved a lot of money not putting Jeff in that situation and just having some random unknown person there.
Yeah.
So anyway, Junior thinks. Junior thinks that perhaps his mother knew the dome was coming. She painted the pink stars. Junior thinks this is not a coincidence. He says that he's not crazy. He very much is, but he brings it back to his romantic fantasy. He's basically going on and on about how
he says they're both linked to the dome somehow, and he is super excited by that. And she is not.
Jim and Barbie with the guns are soon greeted by Maxine. Jim thinks he's in trouble because he does not know that Barbie already knows Maxine.
Yeah, she congratulates Jim on a job well done. So he's trying to steal the guns for Maxine.
Right, and he's like, you don't need to be here right now because you don't need to implicate me in something shady.
Right.
But then she goes and kisses Barbie, and oh, by the way, she knows Barbie as well.
They know Barbie. She knows Barbie very well, apparently.
Yes. Joe and Nori return home only to realize that the mini dome is in the garage or whatever. The barn. And they realize this thanks to Truman once again.
So Truman does discover the egg, but it wasn't in the woods where they were looking for it. It's in the barn. He goes to it, and they discover it, and there's the mini dome and the egg in the barn.
Jim and Barbie argue back and forth until Maxine steps in to say that they're both pretty. And the plan is to set up a black market to keep the town occupied. Barbie isn't interested in helping, but Barbie has some skeletons in the closet, so she's threatening him with that, as does Jim.
Yeah, and Jim's like, go ahead and reveal his secrets.
Right.
I'd like to know. And she's like, I'm going to reveal yours too.
Barbie insinuates that they could have her killed.
She says, whether you knew about each other or not, you both work for me,
Right.
so shut up and I'm your boss.
Right. And Barbie is basically like, you're not bulletproof, Maxine. Like, we could just as easily kill you. And, there's no threat of our secrets coming out. But she says she has an insurance policy. If anything happens to her, these secrets are going to come out.
Right.
Jim heads out and says, hey, give Maxine a kiss for me. And gives a little smirk to Barbie.
And she tells Jim to bring the guns to the cement factory.
And basically she ends up threatening Barbie some more, revealing the fact that she knows that he's sleeping with Julia.
She knows that he's sleeping with Julia. She also knows that he's the one who killed her husband, directly threatens to tell Julia that fact, because this is where we learned that she is the person Barbie was on the phone with on Dome Day after Mr. Shumway died.
Nori and Joe look at the dome when Angie happens upon them and reveals that Joe did a little sleepwalking and brought this thing here.
Yeah, so Angie's known the whole episode where the mini dome is, but nobody bothered to ask her.
Right. The same way that they didn't bother to tell her about the seizures. Julia and Barbie sit on the couch together. She wants to know about his day. He's clearly got some things on his mind. And she basically, tries to sleep with him, but Barbie ends up turning her down. I don't know. That's some Iron Man stuff there, because I don't think I would be able to turn her down. But anyway.
Well, he's got some stuff going on.
Yes.
He's worried that Maxine's going to cause some trouble for him.
Right.
In this town, in this new little cushy setup he has.
Right.
She's about to spill everything and ruin it for him.
Junior finds the guns in the bomb shelter. And
with his dad. So
right.
His dad is there.
Yeah.
He took some of the guns. I'm assuming he left some for Maxine, or she'd know. But he didn't leave them all in the cement factory. He took some for himself. He's put them in the shelter. And Junior walks in on him doing this. And, I would have expected Jim to be a little more discreet about this and not just leave the shelter door wide open for anybody to walk in on him.
Yeah, you would think so, but apparently not. Angie, Joe, and Nori touch the dome, and a fourth hand lights up, indicating that there's another person that is needed to unlock the thing, and that, of course, is where the episode ends.
Yeah, so 4 handprints appear on the mini dome. 3 where their hands are. A 4th one. I'm surprised none of them just tried putting their other hand on that one. They didn't try that yet.
No.
And Nori says that the hands are like keys to a lock, and they're like, we have to find the 4th hand, hence the title of the episode.
Yes.
Which we don't get to till the last line of the episode.
Literal last second of the episode. Yep, that's where the episode concludes. It's not actually that bad of an episode.
It's not, and I was expecting more of next week's stuff in this episode.
Yeah.
Given the title of it is The 4th Hand.
Right.
I think I was thinking of a lot of next week's stuff.
Which is where my problems really, really begin. I mean, I don't love the Junior Angie stuff. And the insinuation that, like I said, that he is justified in his actions in any kind of way, and that any of this is okay. But it's really... It really isn't that bad here as much as it's going to be going forward.
Right.
But yeah, so anything else to say?
We got some more cast to go over. There was one more credited listing for male customer. I didn't pick up where there was somebody else who said something, especially not a customer. But male customer was played by Matthew Cornwell. He was in 1 episode of The Outsider, 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, and the movie The Menu.
Yes.
And then we've got a bunch more uncredited listings this week, because group of people. We have Angry Neighbor, played by John Carter. He was in 1 episode of Mr. Mercedes and the movie Max. This is his only appearance. We have Warehouse Worker in Andrew Cox, who was in the movie Dollface. This is his only appearance. We have a rescuer. I'm not sure what they're being rescued from. Something to do with the shooting, maybe.
Probably.
Fred Gale, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, plays the rescuer. He is in the new series Grosse Pointe Garden Society.
Okay.
As well as 1 episode of Resurrection. This is the first episode with the background actor David Jimerson. He's uncredited listing as neighbor. We're not going to see him again until episode 211, so it's going to be a while, but he'll pop back up.
Okay.
He was in 5 episodes of 6. He was a stand-in on this series in the next 4 episodes. For the rest of season 1, he's a stand-in, but not background, which means he's literally like being in the back of the head of somebody or whatever, but we don't know who.
Right, yeah.
Which, isn't credits I usually look at, but it was on his credits, which is why I noticed that. We have Tammy Rackley as a neighbor. She's in 2 episodes of 6, 1 episode of Sleepy Hollow. This is her only appearance on this series. And it's our first appearance by Alex S. Taylor, listed as Townfolk number 2.
Ooh.
I'm not sure where 2 comes from in episode 9 of the series.
Right.
But we're going to see her, Alex again. I don't know if that's a male or a female. We're going to see Alex again next week. And then a few more appearances throughout the later seasons.
Gotcha.
They were in The Longest Ride and 2 episodes of Sleepy Hollow. And returning regular repeaters for uncredited listings is Rob Coble and Will Smith. Rob Coble's still listed as Big Jim's gang, even though that's done with.
Right, yeah.
That's how he's listed on this episode as well.
All right.
And that's all the people that we saw, or that we have listings for who we saw this week. Obviously, there's a lot more background actors who don't have IMDb listings, and I still don't really understand how that works, but I can only share what they tell us.
Right.
Yeah. So next week, we're going to dive more into The Fourth Hand.
Yes.
I don't recall what the title for the next episode is. I didn't write it down, but it's where we're actually going to talk about The Fourth Hand.
Right. We're going to spend the episode trying to figure out who that is.
Yes.
And we have one of the worst lines in the entire series that we'll make fun of again. Yeah. So, anything else to say before concluding?
I feel like I've said this the last couple of weeks, but upon watching the actual episode and taking the notes, I have less hate for the episode in isolation than I thought I would.
Gotcha.
Again, I loved the show when it was airing. I was excited for it. I was eager to watch it each week. And really, it's just how bad it deteriorates is what's painting my opinion on the series,
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to, take the rest of the series out of the equation.
Right.
It's still baggage that's on your mind that affects previous episodes that you might have enjoyed when you were watching it.
Right.
When it was airing. It like I said, it's hard to not hold where the series goes against individual episodes. Mm-hmm. But, we're trying to do that.
Yeah, and we're heading into the final, third of the first season.
Yes,
now.
And then we can talk about season 2.
Oh, maybe. Eventually. We'll get there.
Maybe 2 years from now.
Oh, we're going to do it this time.
Are you sure you don't want to go back and redo season 1 again?
We will get there this time.
I think we need to go and talk about the pilot some more. All right, we'd like to hear from you. What you think of this podcast? What you think of this episode? Stacie, we reached out.
Reached out on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TV and Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, the number ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join the Core Productions Facebook page, even though I'm no longer involved in that. You can find me at Blue Sky. You can do the Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month, starting at 99 cents a month. And you can buy me a coffee. And, of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Core Productions, signing off.